Lubna is a proud mother that believes that every mother can change the world. And I hope that every mother who's listening to this always remembers that she's enough and that she can indeed change the world.
This podcast encourages and empowers you to create your own unique real story, develop your own unique real statement, and discover your own unique real self. The power is yours. Good morning, Lubna Forzley. How are you doing on this wonderful, beautiful morning?
Good morning. I'm doing very well. And you?
I'm excellent. Thank you for asking. It's a great pleasure to connect with you. Now, do tell us, what part of the world are you in right now?
So I'm in Dubai right now, sunny Dubai.
All right, all right. And which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this specific time in history?
I'd say living with purpose and leaving a story behind.
Ooh, tell me more, please. It sounds like a legacy.
So I'm completely new to social media, believe it or not. And I used to live a life completely offline. And then I decided to make the switch to the online world this year and started content creation on LinkedIn specifically. And I started that because I was watching a video of Gary Vee, where he was saying he puts out all these videos, hoping that one day his kids are going to refer back to them and just have record of his belief and his story and his thoughts. And that moment in time touched me a lot because I really, really would love for my kids to have record of me, either through a book or listen to a podcast or watch a video, especially the younger one, because he's only 3 years old. I mean, the older one is 10 and she's had a lot of exposure to me, but the younger one hasn't as much. And so I thought, oh my God, I really need to just get back online and start doing videos and start doing podcasts for my personal brand, but more importantly for my kids so that they can have record of my thoughts and my beliefs and my principles and what I stand for in life. I have a company called Stories. And I really, really believe that on our deathbed, one of the most important things in life is the story we leave behind. And it's so, so important for me to communicate that to the world and to my kids.
Who did you learn that from, though? The appreciation for time. It feels as though you're very aware of time and the
Mm-hmm.
limited time we have. Where did
Mm.
that come from?
So it came from a tough childhood because I was raised during the Lebanese war. And every day we used to wake up thinking we were going to die that day, but we didn't die that day. And when you go through that, it teaches you that every day is a gift and you need to make the most of it and you need to stand for something and live with purpose and live with a story.
Now, there are two sides of the coin right there, right? You could live loosely, right? You could say, you know what? I'm not attempting to do anything that really matters because life can go. It's so fragile, right? But now
Mm-hmm.
that you've decided to live with purpose, fulfilling purpose, why will you continue on that route, Lubna?
Uh, I think to model it for my kids, that's my biggest motivator. I really believe that a mother is irreplaceable. And I believe that change happens through a mother. When you change your home, you empower your kids and they change the future, right? So a mother can change the world because she does that through her children. And I think it's so important for me to model a life of impact and a life of purpose to my kids so that they can in turn have a future where they're living with purpose as well.
There's a power in stories, and you're helping others tell stories. Tell us a bit more about how you do that, please.
So what I do is I work with big corporates to help them share their story in a more impactful way and with leaders as well. And I usually do that by working with either setting up their marketing and communications department or restructuring that through a new strategy, a new plan, a new story, and helping them, training them and their team to basically roll this out externally to the world. And I do that through rotations with different companies. Usually these last between 3 to 6 months. I go into a company and I stay with them for a long period of time so that I can get an in-depth knowledge of the organization. I audit them. I work very, very closely with them, do the plan, the strategy, training, and then I exit. So that's what I do on a day-to-day basis.
Ooh, where's the best place for someone that's listening to connect with you on those services?
I'd say LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn these days. Otherwise, through my personal website or my company website.
All right. So tell me one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years, please.
I was going to tell you over the last 6 months, I was going to say LinkedIn is my life every day these days. The last 3 years, I've been trying to model a lot for my children. I'd say, consciously modeling for my kids how to live with purpose, I think would be something that I've consistently done for the last 3 years. And making sure also from a business and professional point of view that whatever client I touch, I try to also work with impact with them. It's not about the quantity, but rather the type of influence I make on the clients that I work with, and I do that with a lot of impact.
Yeah, how does it make you feel? Like looking back from now to then to see all those you've touched, the quality conversations you've been able to have. How does that make you feel?
Pride was the first word that came to mind when you asked me that question. I'd say I'm very grateful, I'm proud. Yeah, I'm kind of touched myself that I was able to do that. So 2 weeks ago, I put out a post on LinkedIn and somebody commented and said, "You've changed my life." And for me to read somebody saying that publicly is something that touched me a lot. It's something that didn't take a lot of my time or my effort, but I genuinely cared about helping a mother out. And I did that without any need for anything in return, genuinely just wanting to help her. And I think for me, it's what you do for those that you expect nothing from that matters in life. And it's also what you do in your darkest time that matters a lot. And that makes me feel proud.
Suggest to someone that's listening why they should do what you've done by really investing into your interaction with humans.
Why should they do it? I mean, if they wish to feel like they want to live a life of purpose and impact and they wish to touch other people's lives and to leave a legacy, then they should do it. If they don't, then they shouldn't. I mean, this is not for everyone. I know of people who are very close to me who are not interested in this lifestyle, and that's also okay. I think people live the way they want to live as long as they're not hurting another human being, and that's totally fine.
Amazing audience. Again, you're hearing it live from Lubna Forzley. You can connect with her at lubnaforzley.com, or you can just go over to LinkedIn and look up her name, Lubna Forzley. Lubna, let's switch gears for a moment now. Let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Lubna, what's your earliest childhood memory?
So I recently was on another podcast and I answered that question. I remember as a child, again, I grew up during the Lebanese war, and I remember that during the war, we always used to hide in a specific corner of our house while the bombs were falling. And I remember just being raised by such a strong mother and dad. We used to, sit together as a family in that corner. And I remember the sound of the radio being really, really loud, and it was always alternating between either the news or prayers. And I remember our parents always teaching us to have faith and to keep the sound of prayer stronger than any other sound in our life. And I think that specific memory always stays with me because today, faith is something that's really, really important for me. And I make sure that I teach that to my kids as well.
Hmm. That's amazing. When you look at where you were at that specific point in time, your position in terms of your courage, how do you see that connecting to who you are today as well?
It's 100% connecting. When you go through something like that, you play a dance between being completely fearless in life to being fearful of death, right? So you're fearless of everything, completely everything. I don't care to lose a project. I don't care to lose a boss. I don't care to lose a job. I don't care to lose a building. I don't care to lose anything because it's all replaceable.
Mm.
But I think there are certain things that are irreplaceable in life. Motherhood is one of them. Purpose is one of them. And living a life of stories is one of them. So I recently did a TEDx speech, and in my TEDx speech, I talked about replaceability. And it was all linked to my childhood and what I learned from my childhood, and linked to also living a fearless life.
If we fast forwarded to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song back then?
I saw the sign. I don't remember who the singer was, but I remember being in love with that song and always putting it on. And I remember going into a new school because we had moved to Canada due to the Lebanese war. And I went into a new school and I wanted to run for president of the school. And everybody was like, "You're crazy. Like, you don't know anyone in that school. You hardly speak English. What are you doing running for president?" And I remember that song so clearly. And I made posters and I put them all over the school. And the poster said, I saw the sign. And they were just all over the school. I remember like spending weekends and weekends with my family, like painting these posters saying, I saw the sign. And everybody was like, who's this weird girl? She's new. We don't even know of her. And she's running for president. And I remember I came second place. I didn't win, but I came second place. And I was so proud that I came second place.
Yeah, congratulations. Yeah.
And it actually helped me a lot make friends because it was a great conversation starter. It was a great way to become known in a period of a week or two.
I love it. I love it. It's very similar to what you do on social media, right? Like you were posting your content, right? But it just was the old school way, right? You were doing it the way you would do it in real life. That's really cool. All right, my friend. Well, we've arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there is a small declaration form. So it's yes or no. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready, Lubna?
I am ready.
Lubna, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
My daughter.
Are you married?
I am married. I have 3 kids.
All right. Do you believe in God?
I do with all my heart.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes, I do.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No, not at all.
All right. Not even 3 hours a week? No TV?
No.
All right. What about screen time, the phone and or the computer?
I'm guilty of that a lot, especially lately because I've transitioned to the online world. So that has taken a lot of my time and life.
And what about reading? How often do you read?
I'd say I read quite often. I love reading books.
Well, Lubna, this has been a great pleasure. Before we leave, though, if there's a statement that represents who you are, your own unique real statement, what would you say that is?
I'd say Lubna is a proud mother that believes that every mother can change the world. And I hope that every mother who's listening to this always remembers that she's enough and that she can indeed change the world.
Love it. Lubna Forzley, again, a great pleasure. Before we leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Work on your story and share it because your story can be somebody else's survival guide.
I love that. All right. Well, again, Lubna, thank you, my friend, for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. This podcast is produced by Pod Edits. Visit podedits.com for professional podcast publishing.